thank you for joining me once again. Today we're going to be doing some hip openers. So if you are seated all day, if you've done a lot of walking or even a lot of running, your hips might be really tight. You're going to get some flexibility into them. When your hips are really tight, you might experience some lower back pain as well. So some of these poses are going to help open up your lower back too. We're going to start in a standing position on the mat. We're going to make our way down into a seated and eventually a lying position. So let's step all the way to the top of our mat. Bring the palms of your hands together. Bring your fingertips to your heart center. Close your eyes. Feel for your heartbeat. So I like to do this before a lot of our poses. I always like to pay attention to our heart. Kind of gives you a little bit of a check as to where your body is. Kind of lets you know if you're calm and relaxed or if you're excited. We're going to get your heart rate going by doing some nice movement here. So slowly open your eyes, take a deep inhale, reach your arms all the way up to the sky. Exhale, open your arms, swan dive down, bring your hands to your feet. Bending your knees if you need to, but feeling this nice stretch and lengthening in the muscles behind your legs. We'll do this another couple times. Deep inhale, let's sweep those arms up again, reach all the way up to the sky. Exhale, open your arms, swan dive down, bring your hands down to your feet. Paying attention, feeling this nice stretch. Let's do this one last time. Deep inhale, sweep those arms all the way up. Exhale, open your arms, swan dive down, bring your hands to your feet, feeling this nice lengthening in those muscles behind your legs. Okay, plant your hands flat on the mat. If you need to bend your knees a little bit, go right ahead. Step your right foot all the way to the back of the mat, coming into a nice deep lunge. Let's lower your right knee down to the mat. It's going to give us stability in some of these poses. So now find your balance, find your stability. Let's bring that torso up. Bring the palms of your hands together. Deep inhale. As you exhale, start to rotate your torso to the left. The right tricep rests on the top of your left thigh. Press your palms together and try to reach your left elbow straight up to the sky. And just look straight ahead, past your fingertips, gazing out into the distance, feeling this nice equestrian twist. Deep inhale, exhale. Let's unfold, facing forward once again. Place the palms of your hands flat on the mat. Now take your left hand, bring your left hand to the inside of your left leg, and then walk that left foot a little bit further to the outside so that your knee is lined up and touching your shoulder. And then reposition those hands underneath your shoulders so that you're supporting your body fully. Keeping this nice deep lunge. So this is what I call dragon pose. Great hip openers. Even staying right here is wonderful for your hips. If you have a little bit of flexibility, you can bend your elbows and bring your forearms down onto the mat. So we start with the inside arm. So bend your left arm. Try to get your forearm down on the mat. Let's do the same with your right. If you're in this position and it hurts and you are ready to yell at me, you can come up just on your right hand and support a deeper version of this pose on just your left arm. Or if even this is not comfortable for you, let's bring that left hand flat on the mat as well. No matter what variation you take, this is a deep hip opener. First thing in the morning, your hips are really tight, so sometimes this is all you can do. But later on in the day, you might find that you can come down onto those forearms a little bit more easily. Wherever you are, continuing to breathe, feeling this nice deep opening in your hips. If you are down on your forearms, let's come up onto our hands. So let's start by bringing your right hand up, followed by your left hand. Now let's take your left hand, bring it to the outside of your left foot once again. Let's walk that left foot back underneath your body, reposition your hands, plant your right hand flat on the mat. Let's take your left arm and reach that left arm straight up to the sky, kind of lift your hips a little bit. It's going to engage your lower back. Continuing to breathe, deep inhale. Exhale, let's bring that left hand down onto the mat. Okay, we're going to bring our left foot to the back of the mat, kneeling on your knees. Bring your big toes together, let them touch, don't overlap them, let them touch, and then bring your knees out to the side of the mat, and then shift your weight all the way back onto your heels, coming back into child's pose. If you make your way into child's pose and you don't love it, if your hips are a little bit too tight or if your knees are not cooperating, you can come up onto your forearms, get a little bit of an arch in your back, and you are in puppy pose. Puppy pose is a great alternative to child's pose if it's not comfortable for you. But if you are comfortable in child's pose, shift that weight all the way back to your heels, Let your body rest in between your thighs and just really feel this nice opening in your hips, into your lower back. You can reach those hands all the way up towards the top of the mat. That's going to stretch out your back for you. Continuing to breathe. Wherever you are, let's bring those hands a little bit closer to your head for support. Deep inhale, coming up into tabletop pose. Now, bring those knees a little bit closer together. Let's step your right foot forward up in between your hands. Make sure that your foot lines up right underneath your body. Don't stop it halfway. Bring it all the way up, guiding it with your right hand if you need to. It needs to be underneath your body so that you can go safely through this pose. Make sure your back toes are tucked under. That's going to help support that back leg. Take a deep inhale. Let's lift that torso up. Coming up, looking forward, bring the palms of your hands together. Deep inhale. As you exhale, let's rotate your torso to the right hand side. Your left tricep rests on the top of your left thigh. Palms pressed together. Right elbow facing straight up to the sky, gazing forward past your fingertips. A nice twist. Feeling this in your hips, maybe into your thighs. Deep inhale. Exhale, let's untwist. Bring the palms of your hands back down onto the mat. Let's go into dragon pose once again. Bring that right hand to the inside of your right foot. Let's walk that foot a little bit further to the outside so that your shoulder is touching your knee. Reposition those hands so that they're underneath your shoulders. Staying here if it feels comfortable. If not, coming down on that left arm and then that right arm, or one arm at a time, whatever feels most comfortable for you as you are in this dragon pose. Continuing to breathe. Feeling this nice deep hip opening. I love to do this pose before I go for a run. It really helps to open up my hips, get me nice and flexible, wake up all those muscles in my legs. Okay, wherever you are, walking back up into this version of dragon pose. And then let's everyone bring those right hands to the outside of your right foot. Walk that foot back underneath your body. Reposition those hands. Plant your left hand flat on the mat. Take that right arm, reach that right arm all the way up to the sky. Coming into a nice twist. Lift those hips slightly. It's just going to engage those hips in that lower back. Nice deep inhale, exhale. Bring that right hand back down. Let's step that left foot all the way forward on the mat. Deep inhale, slowly reaching those arms all the way up to the sky. Palms together. Palms to heart. Close your eyes. Feel your heartbeat beating just a little bit faster because we did a little bit of movement there. And then paying attention to your hips. Feeling this nice openness in your hips and an increase in blood flow into the lower part of your body. Take a nice deep inhale. As you exhale, slowly open your eyes. Now I'm going to rotate to face you. You can also rotate on your mat to face this way because we will be using the length of our mat shortly. This next pose that we're going to do, great hip opener, but if you have bad knees, you might not be able to get fully into this pose. I only want you to do what feels most comfortable for you. So we're going to go along with this together. You're going to bring your feet a little bit wider than hip width apart. Toes are going to go a little bit out on an angle, not completely facing the opposite side, but maybe at about a 45-degree angle facing away from your body. Only go as deep into this pose as you feel comfortable, stopping where you need to. This is called garland pose, and it's a very deep squat, but it is incredible for your hips. So if you can make your way all the way down, definitely do that. If not, just stop wherever you need to. Take a deep inhale. As you exhale, start to squat down, bending those knees, letting your bum come a little bit closer to the ground. Once you get into whatever depth of a squat you can get into, bring your triceps to the insides of your thighs, press your palms together, and press your knees out and away. Wonderful hip opener. Do this for however long feels comfortable if you do this on your own, but we're not going to hold that for too long today. Release your hands, everyone. Bring the palms of your hands down onto the mat. Lean yourself forward, lift your hips up to the sky, and then slowly come up back into a standing position. Keep those legs further apart. We're going to go into a pose that's going to need them to be a little bit further than hip width apart, so about 3 feet apart. Let's rotate your right toes so that they face out to the right. Left toes should face forward. Look down at your feet. Make sure your heels are in a straight line together. That's going to help you stay nice and balanced in this posture. We're going to go into triangle pose. Bring your arms out into a nice letter T. Take a deep inhale. As you exhale, let's reach that right hand towards your right foot, reaching towards that part of the room. Your left hip shifts to the back of the room. And then pivot at the waist, coming into triangle pose. So on this pose, you can go as deeply into this as you feel comfortable. I've stopped here, but you can go a little bit deeper, reaching all the way down to your feet or your ankles or even the mat. But make sure that when you're in this pose, your shoulders are stacked on top of each other. Don't reach forward because you're going to compromise your lower back. Just because you can touch your toes doesn't mean you're in great form for it. So make sure those shoulders are stacked. If you are in this pose and you're looking and your hands are reaching forward, come up just a little bit. That's going to make sure that your back is protected in this pose. But go as deep as you feel comfortable, feeling this nice openness in your hips. You can feel this on the insides of your thighs probably already. This is wonderful for your glutes as well. Take a deep inhale. Let's all come back up to standing, coming into five-pointed pose, five-pointed star. Bring your feet a little bit wider apart. Toes are now facing me. Bring the palms of your hands to your hips. We're going to go into a wide-legged forward bend. It's a great stretch for your hips and the backs of your legs. Bring your shoulders back and down. You're going to keep your head up as you go into this pose, and once you find your positioning, you can move your head around, but it helps to protect your lower back if you go into this with a flat back. Shoulders back and down, chin up, take a deep inhale, and exhale. Start to lead with your chest, bending at the waist, stopping wherever you feel comfortable. So if you need to stop here, if you're starting to feel a little bit of pain and you need to stop here, that's perfectly fine. Try to keep your head up. That will help your back stay nice and flat rather than rounding it, so it will stay nice and protected. If you feel comfortable getting into this pose, you can continue coming all the way down to the mat, bringing the palms of your hands to the mat. If you've got flexibility, let's see if I can do this. You can bring the crown of your head to touch the mat. My head is not really touching my ponytail, or it might look like it, but it's not touching. Or you can also bring those fingertips out to your feet and get a little bit more deep into this pose. Really feeling this on the insides of your hips, the insides of your thighs, the outsides of your legs, into your glutes. This is a wonderful stretch. It requires a little bit of strength as well to hold it. Okay, wherever you are, let's all bring your thumbs up to just below your hips, right at that crease, where you can feel the bend in your hips right before you hit your legs. So it's right underneath those hip bones. Take a deep inhale, and then as you exhale, press those hips back. That helps you just come up into a standing position a little bit more comfortably. Okay, you can bring those feet a little bit closer together if you need to. We're going to do triangle on the opposite side. So right toes are facing forward, left toes face out, facing in that direction. Check those heels, make sure they're nice and lined up. Bring those arms out into a letter T. Take a deep inhale. As you exhale, the left hand gets pulled to the front of the room, right hip to the back, and then pivot at the waist. So every once in a while when you get into this pose, you will hear your hips pop. And I like to say hip pop hooray. This is a wonderful pose to help open up those hips, release any pressure that you're holding onto. So if you ever have a really tight hip, getting into this pose, even momentarily, is a huge help. So paying attention to your body once again, make sure those shoulders are stacked in a nice straight line. If you're leaning forward, or if you feel this in your back, come up just a little bit taller. There's no problem with doing a triangle pose just like this. You are getting the benefit of this pose no matter what variation you are taking. Take a nice deep inhale, exhale. Let's come back up to standing. Bring your arms down. Let's walk those legs back together and then walk them out to get some blood flow back into those legs. Feel those hips feeling nice and open, nice and relaxed. And the great news is we're coming down onto the mat. So let's come down into a seated position. And let's bring the soles of our feet together. Interlace your fingers and cup your toes, or place your hands anywhere along your shins. Continuing to breathe. So this is butterfly pose. I love teaching butterfly pose. It's such a really beneficial pose for so many reasons. This is a great hip opener. It is a great lower back opener. Now, coming back to our hips, if your hips are very uncomfortable in this position, your feet might be too close to your body. So if you want to release some of that tension on your hips, just bring your feet a little bit further away from your body. At this point, you'll just need to grasp your ankles, because you might not be able to reach those toes. We don't want to curl our back in this pose. We would love to have a nice straight back, sitting up nice and tall. So if your feet are a little bit further away, just grasp your ankles. That will help you to sit up tall in this pose. If your feet are a little bit closer, you can interlace and cup and then sit up nice and tall. One thing I love to say about this pose is even though we're butterflies, we shouldn't flap our wings. So what I'm about to do, don't do this. Don't do this because it can pull on the inside muscles in your groin area, and it's not fun when those muscles get pulled. So we just like to relax in our butterfly pose. And we can sometimes float forward and backward, which is what we're going to do right now. So take a deep inhale, look straight up at the sky, exhale, bend your elbows, bring your chest down towards your toes. Inhale, coming back up, looking up to the sky. Let's keep that head up, leading with your chin, leading with your chest, coming into a forward bend. Inhale, coming back up, looking up to the sky. Exhale, bend those elbows, chest coming down to your toes. One more time, deep inhale, looking straight up to the sky. Exhale, bend your elbows, bring your chest down towards your toes. You can let your head drop if it feels comfortable, coming into and relaxing in a butterfly forward bend. So here's another time where we don't want to bounce. Don't try to bounce your way into a deeper position. Let gravity do its thing. Sometimes as you exhale, your body finds a little bit more room and you might sink a little bit deeper into this pose. You can also extend those arms straight out in front of you, helping you to get a little bit deeper into this pose. You can feel that on the insides of your hips. Taking a nice deep inhale and exhale, bringing yourself back up into a seated position. Let's keep your right leg where it is. Let's rotate your left leg at the hip. The sole of your right foot comes up to the top of your left thigh. I do this pose a lot. It's zigzag legs. It's one of my favorite, and it's a favorite of a lot of my yoga students as well. So you're gonna rotate your torso so that you're looking over the inside of your right thigh. We're gonna fold over that leg eventually, but when we do, I want you to make sure you're folding over the inside of your thigh. Don't fold behind your leg, don't fold in front of your leg to protect your back. Just lean and head towards your knee. That's gonna be your goal. That's what you should aim for. Left fingertips, plant them in the mat in front of your your right shin. Right fingertips go in the mat above your thigh. Let's bring your shoulders back and down so you have a nice flat back. Deep inhale and then exhale. Walk yourself forward, coming to a height that feels comfortable for you. So whether that's stopping here, right on the palms of your hands, whether it's bending your elbows and coming a little bit lower, or extending those arms all the way out and coming completely flat over that right thigh. If this feels comfortable for your back, but you have a sinus headache or you've got allergies, you can bring the palms of your, or you can make fists with your hands, stack those hands and rest your forehead on them. That brings your head in line with your heart, and it also brings all of your sinuses and allergies, they aren't as affected with a pose like this because your head is a little bit more upright. So I'm going to come up a little bit taller. Stay in whatever position feels comfortable for you. So wherever you are in this pose, you are hitting different body parts, and you're lengthening muscles and stretching out muscles in different ways. So if you are completely folded down, you can really feel this in your hips. This is a wonderful hip opener. You can really feel this in that right hip. If you are up on your forearms, you're getting both your hips and your lower back equally. If you're all the way down, you're still hitting your lower back, but you hit it a little bit more when you're up on your forearms. When you come all the way up into this nice tall position, this helps to get into your sciatic nerve. So if you're in a seated position for a lot of the day and your sciatic nerve, it flares up, this is a really good posture for you to sit in. It's going to help lengthen that sciatic nerve, help you to ease some of those symptoms. It won't cure it. It will help you get through it, and it will make it feel very comfortable for you. Okay, wherever you are, walk yourself back up into a seated position, and we're going to cross and switch our legs. So let's bring your left leg around. The sole of your left foot comes right in front of you. Rotate your right leg. Bring the top of your right thigh to the bottom of the sole of your left foot. Now rotate your torso so that you're looking over that left thigh. Right fingertips get planted in the ground in front of your shin. Left fingertips above your thigh. Let's bring those shoulders back and down. Deep inhale and exhale. Walk yourself forward, stopping at whatever height feels comfortable for you on this side. And it does not need to be the same as you did on your right hand side. Whatever feels good for you here is what you should do. Our bodies hold our stress and our experiences differently, so we should act on it, and we should treat it differently, so that if your back hurts when you lean to the right, you should maybe stop here, because this is a really nice stretch for your lower back. If your sciatic nerve is flared up on the opposite side, you should work on your sciatic nerve and stay up on the palms of your hands. So whatever feels most comfortable for you is where you should be. Another great benefit to this pose is that it helps to calm your mind, especially if you are all the way down onto the mat. It's a great way to quiet your mind, relax your mind. If you've had a very busy day, have a lot on your brain, a lot of stress, this is a great pose to do at nighttime to help yourself relax, kind of defragment, as I like to say, and let all the worries of the day just kind of make their way out of your system. So you can do this pose before you go to bed and help to relax yourself for a good night's sleep. Okay, wherever you are, walk yourself back up into a seated position. I'm going to rotate this way. We're going to extend our legs straight out in front of us, sitting up nice and tall. Don't sit on your tailbone like this. Sit on those sits bones, the bony part of your bone. Let's take your left leg, bending your knee. The sole of your left foot comes to the inside of your thigh, and then rotate so that the ankle is resting on the top of your right thigh. So we're going to do a movement called cradle pose, and there's a couple variations to it, to whatever feels comfortable for you. So if you can get your left arm around and rest your left knee inside of your left elbow, and your right arm around the bottom of your foot so that the sole of your foot is resting on the inside of your right elbow, go right ahead and do that. If you can't reach, that's perfectly fine. You can take your left hand, place it under your left knee, take your right hand and support your ankle. As long as your knee and your ankle are supported, that is very important. So take the variation that feels comfortable for you. Everyone take a deep inhale and then bring yourself up into a seated position, bringing that knee up with you. So this is called cradle pose. This is a wonderful pose to help open up your hips. I'm going to rotate so that you can see what it looks like from the front. Stay where you are. So from the front, it looks like this. Don't get into the pose this way. Do it the way I told you. So this is what it looks like from the front. Your leg might not come all the way up. You might be a little bit more bent. That's just if you have tight hips. This helps to build that flexibility so that eventually you can come all the way up into a seated position. You might also feel this in your lower back as well. This is a wonderful way to help release tension in your lower back, release any tightness that you're holding on to. Take a deep inhale as you exhale. Let's release that leg, uncross those arms, extend your left leg straight out in front of you. I'm going to stay facing you so that you can see this from the front. Now let's do the same on the opposite side. Let's bend that right knee, sole of your foot to the inside of your thigh. Now rotate that so that your ankle is resting on your thigh. Right arm comes around the top, or right hand supports underneath your knee. Left arm comes along the bottom, or the left hand supports the ankle. Take a deep inhale and come up into a seated position, coming up into cradle pose. With your left foot, try to engage that left foot. Make sure those toes are facing up to the sky. That's going to help lengthen the muscles behind your left leg as well, so it can complete the pose and you can get multiple benefits out of this pose. Continuing to breathe. Again, this is cradle pose. It's like we've got a little baby in our arms. Continuing to breathe, feeling this nice openness in your hips and your lower back. Nice deep inhale, exhale. Let's fold forward. Let's uncross our legs. Extend those legs out in front of us. You can kind of bounce those legs to bring some energy back into them. Now let's bend your knees. Bring the soles of your feet onto the mat just a little bit wider than hip width apart, so you've got a little bit of a letter V in your hips, or in your legs. Bring your arms to the insides of your thighs, and then make L's with your hands. So this little divot between your thumb and your forefinger, let's bring that around to the backs of your legs and let that rest on the backs of your heels. Now, if this feels really good for you, but you feel like you can get a little bit deeper, you can bring your hands around and rest them on the fronts of your feet. This will get you a little bit deeper into the pose. It's going to get into your lower back a little bit more. Continuing to breathe, feeling this in your hips and your lower back. So I call this tarantula pose. It sounds a lot scarier than it really is. But tarantula pose is one that I found one day after a run, and it just felt so great on my lower back, which was really, really tight. So it's a nice way to open up your lower back, getting a little bit into your hips as well. Okay, so now we're going to reach in our tarantula pose. So let's bring those hands back around to the center. Bring your palms onto the mat, in between your feet, and then walk those hands forward. Only going as deep as you feel comfortable. Really feeling this nice stretch in your lower back, stretch on the insides of those hips. Continuing to breathe. Try to keep your head up rather than let it drop. By letting it drop, you curl your back a little bit more. So by keeping it up, you keep a nice flat back and you can really focus on the lower part of your back. Continuing to breathe. Nice deep inhale. Walk yourself back up. Place your right hand on the mat to the inside of your right foot. Let's take your left hand and just reach that left hand straight up to the sky, getting a nice gentle twist in this pose. Really feeling this in your lower back. Nice deep inhale. Exhale. Let's bring that left hand down. Let's do the same. So place your left hand next to your foot. Let's take that right hand, reach that right arm all the way up to the sky. You can either look straight up to the sky at the tips of your fingers, or you can bring your neck down and look straight ahead over your right knee. It's whatever feels most comfortable for your neck. Deep inhale, exhale. Let's bring that right hand back down. Let's take that left arm, reach that left arm straight up to the sky once again. Really feeling this nice twist in your lower back. Great twist in your spine, increasing blood flow to your back. Exhale, let's bring that left hand down. Do the same with your right. Right arm reaches straight up to the sky. Continuing to breathe. Deep inhale, exhale. Let's bring your right hand back down. Let's come up into a seated position. Great news. Keep those knees where they are. Bring the soles of your feet a little bit closer together. We're going to make our way all the way down onto the mat. Place the palms of your hands on the sides of your legs and then guide yourself all the way down to a fully reclined position. That just helps you come onto the mat a little more gently so that you don't thunk your way down. Okay, from this position, bring your feet a little bit closer to your body. Going to go into a movement called thread the needle. Wonderful hip opener. Love this one. Take your right leg, lift your right leg up and rotate it at the hip. Now, very, very important here. The bony part above your ankle, make sure that is resting on your knee. Don't rest your foot on your knee, because if you rest your foot on your knee, you're going to bend your foot and you can risk an ankle injury, and that's not very fun. So make sure that bony part above your ankle is resting on your knee. Take your right hand, place your right hand on the inside of your right thigh, and just gently press that out. This is a gentle hip opener. We're going to take this pose to another level. We're going to do another variation of this pose, but I want to start here because this is a nice gentle way to open up your hips. If your hips are really tight, or if you've just gotten up in the morning and you need to get a little bit of movement in, this is a great way to start. Okay, you can stay here, or you can come to the next part of this pose with me. Release that tension on the inside of your thigh. Now look down at your legs. You've created a triangle with your bent knee. So with your right hand, same knee that's bent, with that right hand, go place your hand in that triangle. So it's going to be inside both of your legs. Now your left hand is going to go to the outside of your left leg. Take a deep inhale, and then as you exhale, lift your left foot up off the floor, and then reach those hands through. Interlace your fingers either below your knee or behind your left thigh, wherever they can reach to. Now, if you have problems reaching, if you can't get all the way through, that's normal, don't worry about it. You can guide yourself in with a strap. So if you have a yoga strap or a belt or even the strap from a bag, you can thread that through. So it'll come around, you'll place it behind your left thigh, and then you'll just pull yourself in. So you'll hold the straps this way. They're still going to come through this triangle. They're still going to go on the outside of your left leg, but it's just a little bit of a guided system. Continuing to breathe. So there are other variations of this pose, but we're going to keep this in a nice relaxing variation today. We're just going to lift that leg up. You can, there are people that will extend that left leg straight up to the sky. And if you know that, you're welcome to do that, but let's keep it a little bit more relaxed today. Continuing to breathe, deep inhale. As you exhale, if that left leg is up off the mat, release your fingertips, lower your left foot down. Let's uncross your right leg and just lie here for a second. Bring those hands down onto the mat and feel your body. That right side of your body might feel really heavy. Feels like it's being pulled down into the mat. That's that nice release that you've done on your hips and your lower back.
Now let's do the same on the opposite side. Let's lift that left leg up off the mat, rotating at the hip. Make sure that bony part above your ankle is resting above your knee. Now you're going to start with your left hand. Your left hand is going to go through this triangle. Your right hand is going to come to the outside of your right leg. Deepen. Oh, actually, hold on. Sorry. Let's backtrack a little bit. Sorry, I'm human. I make mistakes. Let's do that gentle hip opener first. Let's take your left hand. Place your left hand to the inside of your thigh and press that out. Feeling the openness in your hips. This also releases that lower back. Feeling the nice release in your lower back. Continuing to breathe. So staying here if this is where you feel comfortable. Taking it to the next level if you feel comfortable with that. So if you want to go on to the next level, release that pressure on the inside of your thigh. Take that left hand, go through the triangle, right hand to the outside of your right leg. Let's lift that right leg up and in towards your body, interlacing either below your knee or behind your thigh. So there's not really advanced levels on poses in yoga. It's just whatever variation you decide to take, whatever variation your body wants you to take. So if you can't get into this pose fully, it's just you haven't built up a lot of flexibility, and that's fine. You'll work your way to this. I couldn't get into this pose years ago because I was not flexible, but now I love this pose because it really opens up your lower back, opens up your hips. This is another great pose to do if you have any issues with your sciatic nerve. It's a nice way to stretch out and lengthen the muscle behind your legs so that you've got a little bit more flexibility. So the more that you do these poses, the more you'll build up that flexibility, and getting into poses like this will become very, very easy and comfortable for you, okay? Wherever you are, if that knee is up off the mat, release your fingertips, lower that right foot down to the mat. Let's all uncross your left leg. Sole of your left foot comes down onto the mat, and then let yourself lie here. Feel this balance in your body now. Your whole lower back feels stretched out. Your hips feel nice and open. The muscles behind your legs feel lengthened. Continuing to breathe, recognizing all of the wonderful things that you've just done to your body with just one pose. Okay, bringing your attention back into the room, we're going to go into another movement called lying down hip rocks. So bring your feet a little bit wider than hip width apart. Bring your hands either up by your head to make goalpost arms, or if you're on the outside ground like I am and don't think you want to touch that back, the ground with your hands, you can bring your hands, one hand on your heart, just above, like right on the top of your rib cage, and the other on your belly. That's a great way to focus on your breathing. Looking straight up to the sky, take a deep inhale. As you exhale, lower your knees down to the right hand side. Try to keep your middle to lower back flat on the mat. Inhale, let's bring those knees back up to center, pass completely through the center line, and lower your knees down to the left. Inhale, coming back up to center. Exhale, lowering them to the right. Inhale, back up to center. Exhale, lowering them to the left. So start to move at a pace that feels comfortable for you. If it feels too slow, then you're going at the right pace, because this is meant to be a relaxing move. So you can build up heat in this pose, but I want to keep it nice and relaxed. Really focusing on your hips, once again, keeping that middle and lower, most of your lower back flat on the mat, not twisting too much into this pose, not forcing too much, just working with your body's flexibility. So lying down hip rocks, wonderful pose to help increase blood flow through your body. Any blood that's sitting in your hips, you're circulating very easily and effortlessly throughout the rest of your body. Feels great on your lower back. It's a wonderful lower back stretch. It's a wonderful way to stretch out your hips and get a little bit more flexibility in them. Inhaling up, exhaling down. We're going to do this 2 more times in each direction. So you can increase the speed on this. I don't want to do that today, but you can increase the speed on this. It will just build up a little bit more heat in your body and get that blood flowing. So if you need to wake yourself up, if you're lying in bed and you need to wake yourself up, you can increase that speed to help yourself wake up and get out of bed, get that morning cup of coffee for you. Okay, bring those knees back up to center. 2 final poses. We're going to go into happy baby pose. So you can bring your hands down to your side. If you're familiar with happy baby, go right ahead and take it. Otherwise, I'm going to explain this to you. Bring your hands to the insides of your thighs. Lift your feet up off the mat with bent knees. Now extend your shins so that your feet are facing up to the sky. Bring your hands to the insides of your legs and grasp either your ankles or your arches and your heels, so kind of a little bit of both, or by doing a 2-finger point, placing them in between your first 2 toes and grasping your big toe. Now, I know that the traditional happy baby kind of rocks back and forth, but before we do that, let's just lie here, feeling this nice stretch in the back of your legs, maybe a little bit into the front of your legs, and this nice opening in your hips. Great pose to do to just kind of feel a little bit of a static stretch. Now, if you love this pose and this feels great for you, stay right here. If you want to introduce a little bit of movement, start to slowly rock back and forth in traditional happy baby. So the added benefit to rocking back and forth is that you're massaging your lower back. You're getting a little bit of movement in there, and you're using the floor to massage your back. But if you don't love rocking, you can just stay right in the center. I've really found the benefit of staying in the center for a little bit longer in this pose. Continuing to breathe. This also continues to increase blood flow throughout your body. And it's kind of a fun pose to do because sometimes you fall, sometimes you rock off to one side, you increase your core strength by having to bring those legs back up off the floor. But it's just an overall fun and easy pose to do. Okay, rock back and forth one more time in each direction. Let's all bring those legs back to the center. Release your fingertips, bring the soles of your feet to the ground, and then let your knees fall to the opposite side of the mat. Bring the soles of your feet together in a butterfly, so we're in a reclined butterfly. Now take your arms, reach your arms up above your head, reaching for the wall behind you, and then grasp the opposite forearm or the opposite elbow with the opposite hand, coming into what I call guppy pose. Guppy pose is a great pose with so many benefits. Guppy pose opens up your hips. Now, if you need to reposition your hips, if you need to lift your bum up off the mat to reposition yourself to make your back feel a little bit more comfortable, go right ahead and do that. So the first thing guppy pose does is it opens up your hips. Now, paying attention to your hips, again, if they're too tight, if it feels very tight and you're not comfortable with it, you can move those feet a little bit further away from your body. Or while you're laying here, you can place pillows underneath your knees to help support your knees in this pose. That will help release any tension you feel on your hips. Coming up a little bit further, because those arms are up and above your head, it's taking pressure off of your lower back. So if you have lower back pain, this is a really great pose to do to help ease those symptoms and help you feel a little bit better. Coming up even further, because those hands are up above your head, your shoulders are back and down. So you've got a great way to correct that curvature in your spine to help yourself to stand up nice and tall. This pose also helps to quiet your mind. It's a great pose to do before you fall asleep at night. You can actually fall asleep in guppy pose. You don't have to incorporate the legs, but just by placing your arms above your head, it helps you to relax a little bit more. If you do fall asleep in this pose, just make sure your hands are on top of your pillow, not underneath. It'll help you to it's going to keep your shoulder girdle in a little bit better alignment rather than trying to overextend it. So speaking of sleep, we don't want to fall asleep in this pose. So let's extend your legs straight out in front of you. Reach those arms straight up above your head. Come into a nice full body stretch, stretching like you've been asleep forever and it feels so comfortable. Deep inhale. Exhale. Bring your hands down to your sides. Let yourself relax for a moment more. Close your eyes. Take a deep inhale. And fully exhale. Another deep inhale. And another full exhale. On your next inhalation, think about what you're grateful for. And as you exhale, just send that gratitude out into the world. And now let's come up into a seated position. So to come up into a seated position from lying most comfortably, you have two options. You can either roll off to one side, coming into resting baby, and walking yourself up with your hands, Or you can rock your knees into your chest and then come all the way up to seated that way. And then let's turn and face the screen. Let's bring the palms of our hands together and let's celebrate the wonderful gift of movement and flexibility that we've just brought to our bodies. Let's bring our fingertips to our forehead as we bow to one another. Namaste. Thank you for joining me once again, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.